Hi everybody. All right, so I'm going to show you how to draw a winter giraffe. I already started off with my pre-sketch in pencil, and now I'm going to go over with Sharpie. So the materials I'm using just a regular Sharpie, but you could use a marker. Prior to that though, of course, I started with a pencil. You always want to start with a pencil, and I have an eraser. I have a really nice eraser, but these erasers will also work. Mine's just really short because I do a lot of erasing. You always want to draw lightly so that if you do make a mistake, your eraser is your friend and you can erase it. So when I start off with my giraffe, first of all, I want to imagine how much space it's going to be. Now this guy's kind of skinny, and I want to make sure I have enough for the really tall giraffe. So I measure, I'm thinking, okay, so I need a head and I need a hat in there. So I'm just going to take kind of about half my hand from the top of my paper, and I'm going to draw an oval-ish shape to start off with. Start off with an oval shape. Now, if I'm not tracing my lines exactly the same, no worries, because I can just take my eraser and erase any of those extra lines. So I started off with an oval shape. You can always pause this video too while you're working if you need a little bit more time. That's okay to do. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do two curved lines. My first curved line, and then a kind of a parallel curved line. So now I have that side. I'm going to do the other side. You have that side, curved line, another parallel curved line, and now I have both of them. Next, I want to draw my hat. So I'm going to leave a little bit of extra space on this side, kind of, not quite your pinky, just maybe about a ½ inch, if that. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw this nice line. Doesn't necessarily have to be straight, because sometimes hats get a little weird. So it's got a little bump in it. I'm going to go up a little bit. I'm going to do that same thing to the other side, kind of curve on both sides. I'm going to kind of follow that line again. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these lines, these vertical lines. I'm putting a slight curve or diagonal into it. It makes it interesting looking. So I do that. Next, I need to do my hat shape. So on this one, I didn't quite leave enough for the poof, so my poof is kind of going off the page, and that's okay. So I go up, slight curve, kind of go on this side and do a curve. And now my poofs, I'm going to do textures with short little lines. I kind of go around the sides, and it gives me my poof off the page. So now I have my giraffe hat. Next, I'm going to draw a curved line for the ear. So I have one curved line. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Another curved line. I'm going to make them similar. They don't have to be exact. I'm going to do another curved line and another curved line. So I have two curved lines. Now on the inside, here's the trick. I'm not going to go right to the corner. I'm going to go out just a tiny bit here and a tiny bit here. So I do a curved line like this, go side to side. Fantastic. I'm going to do the other side, go like this to this, leave a little bit on the edges. There we go. We got the basic shape. Next, I have to put in the nostrils because the giraffe has to breathe. So all I'm doing is just two small ovals, and then I can fill those in. So I got those filled in. Next, I need to draw the eyeballs. This is where I get to have a lot of fun. Now I could draw some wacky eyeballs, or I could draw normal eyeballs. I could do cartoon eyeballs. I kind of like the wacky eyeballs. So I'm going to do one big eyeball, one little eyeball. So I'm going to draw one big eyeball. And of course, I need the reflection in each of those eyes. So I'm going to add a circle on the inside. Now, the reflection can be different shapes depending on the light source. My camera's going to wiggle a little as I fill in the black part. And I made an oops. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. Oopses are okay. When you make an oops, that's just part of the art. And then you just kind of figure out what more do you want to add to it. Shake, 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 shake. A little bit of wiggle today. All right, next. Now I want to figure out, do I want to have eyelashes or no eyelashes? So this particular giraffe has no eyelashes. curve, curve. Now I didn't quite line that up, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to use my eraser later on, or right now, and I'm just going to have to erase those lines. All right, fantastic. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to draw two parallel lines that go down, that kind of come out a little bit. But because I know I'm going to put a scarf on them, I would end up erasing those. And for this to make unique, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do rectangles with curved edges. So what I mean by curved is this is a rectangle. And if you're noticing these curves right here, there's a slight curve and a slight curve. So it makes it look like a scarf. So it's a rectangle with curves. I'm going to go like this. There's my first rectangle. Now my next one, because it's a scarf on a giraffe, I've never seen a giraffe with a scarf. Usually they go inside when it's 50 degrees or lower. They don't let them out. I love the giraffes at the zoo. I love to feed them. That's a lot of fun. Now this one here, and if your rectangle shapes are a little bit different in sizes, that's okay. Just make sure you get round edges around those sides. More round. Ah, whoops. I made an oops. That's okay. All right, I'm going to do my next one. And I'll just come up there, and then I'll erase it. No big deal. All right, then I'm going to come over here to the side at the top. And I'm just going to make the shape up. Slightly rectangle, slightly triangle. And then I'm using a texture with kind of zigzag lines. Kind of going just like, hey, here's a little bit of extra. Next, what I'm going to do, now it gets tricky with my camera here. I'm just do a longer curve line that extends over the giraffe's body. So I went over on the other side of that. And then I'm going to put the giraffe body right there. And now I'm going to make another parallel line with that, with a little curve. And of course, again, I'm going to do kind of that fun texture at the ends with some zigzag lines. So I got my zigzag lines. Next, I'm going to take this, just kind of make the body part here. Now, what's fun about giraffes is their spots are all kind of different sizes and shapes. So what I want to do is I want to get different sizes and shapes. Just kind of different sizes and shapes. I'm just making the shapes up. It doesn't have to necessarily be a particular way. I'm just using my imagination. And then I'll color those different colors. Now, because I have these small ones, I'm going to switch to a smaller pen. So this is my Micron pen. Now, it's kind of a fancier pen, and I really like to use these for my artwork because it's archival quality, but they also work because it's really, really tiny. So it's got a very tiny width to it. So I like using these for my small details. I also use those on my really nice pieces of artwork. This one is just kind of a fun one. Just a fun giraffe drawing. And I love giraffes. I've got some bigger ones, the paintings that I have done, because they're fun. All right, now I'm going to add over here this design. Go like this. I'm going to add the little details in the ears, just on the outside, not the inside. Just keep drawing. And just fun little lines and designs. And I'm just making it up because, you know, you get to do that. I'm going to switch back to my Sharpie fine point for my designs. Now I'm going to put in, now kind of looking, if you imagine your paper divided into 3 sections. You want to usually pick about the 1/3 or the 2/3 mark for good design. I am today going to, for this particular drawing, I am choosing the 1/3 mark. And now I'm going to do my really cool trees. Now, I imagine these trees are like the alpine trees. And I'm just kind of doing these zigzag lines in here, kind of making it up for the pattern. Just imagining how the tree would grow or would look in the forest. I'm drawing two parallel lines for the tree trunk. Now I have some shorter ones over here, just kind of these nifty designs. And it helps that I already have it pre-drawn, but I like doing these. So I just do the one side. The other side does not have to be the same. It gives it a little bit of excitement if it's not the same. It doesn't have to be symmetrically balanced. Trees rarely are. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do some snowflakes. Now my snowflakes, what I just do is I do a cross and then just an X. I keep these pretty simple. I do a cross, just an X. You can change it up. No two snowflakes are alike. And so I'm just gonna add my little designs here. These are just fun little designs that I'm doing. And then I like to add, oh, I got a few more snowflakes. Gotta add the rest of those snowflakes in. All right, now I'm gonna add my circles, because I just like to do circles for snowflakes. Imagine on a nice snowy day, it's coming down, and you just have these snowflakes. Just really nice little snowflakes. And then I'm gonna put my signature on the bottom, because that says that it's mine. Now, I'm gonna take my eraser. So any of the lines that I kind of did an oops, or I didn't quite get quite right. Now, the camera's gonna get a little jiggly on us. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna erase all those extra guidelines, and it's a good thing that I pressed really light. So if you make a mistake, it's really simple to erase them. That's why I like to draw light first and then go in with the darker lines or the Sharpies, and then I can really accentuate my designs. But I also then need to erase if I don't trace so well. Whoop, there goes the camera again. If I don't trace so well, I need to erase those lines, and that's okay. Yeah, my camera, I'm wiggling it a lot. I made a lot of oopses. So why you want a good eraser and to draw light. And then I want to do this before my next step. I put a lot of details in this giraffe. I was having fun with it. So I put a lot of little extra details. You can always add more too. I'll probably do that when I start to do the colored pencil technique. So get rid of my extra erased lines. Whoop, there goes it again. And my camera keeps slipping. Okay. All right. This is looking pretty fantastic. Now I just need to add my colored pencils. So when I do colored pencils, I do a couple different techniques. First, I probably want to start with my giraffe. So I'm gonna just grab other colored pencils I have. I don't know, this is a no-name color pencil. I like Crayola because they give a nice color. But you can use anything that you have. So what I'm gonna do, notice how I have my hand way up here and not down here. I don't want a lot of pressure, so I put my pencil way up here, and I'm gonna press really lightly. And I'm actually, because I'm doing the base coat, what I'm doing is I am just getting the first layer down. So this is just my first layer. And then I can sometimes rotate my paper too if it's easier to color it in. That first layer, I'm just going to do a light coat. And kind of being aware of my plan on what I want to do for colors. So I'm going to leave this part kind of white or lighter. Get that darker, come down here. So what I like to do is just kind of get a base layer first. All my colors. Whoop. Just kind of nice and light. Now, I did have a couple pieces of, so I'm just using a typing paper or a copy paper for this drawing. Nothing too fancy. I don't need something with a lot of tooth because I'm using colored pencils and markers and pencils. So just something very simple, very lightweight, very easy to travel with. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press a little bit darker. Notice how my fingers moved. I moved down the pencil because I'm going to apply a little bit more pressure to my pencil. Now, sometimes if you apply too much pressure, the pencil will break, especially if you shattered the core on the inside. I'm in the garage. It's a little bit chilly in here. It's winter. That's why this poor giraffe is wearing a scarf, because he doesn't want to be so cold. And I can keep applying more pressure. Value is the use of light and dark. So right now I have a less molecules of pigment or color pencils than I do this area where I'm putting a lot more pressure. I'm squeezing in more molecules on top of each other into this area, which gives it that unique look. I have a lot of space in between the molecules. And I'm just applying a lot more and squeezing them into this space. By applying more pressure, I get a more highly concentrated saturation level. So it's not as light. Oh, that paper also protects my table too. Now, if I want to create a light shadow underneath the scarf, I could do that. Press a little bit harder. Come up here. Now I got to do all these small little shapes that I created, because those shapes didn't have to be any particular. They don't have to be circles or squares or rectangles. They're just weird shapes. And a shape is a closed line. So when you use a line, it's a mark with greater length and width. And then when you do a shape, you close it together. And that is how you get a shape. So I like doing shapes. I also like to repeat them over and over and over. So I'm using repetition of weird shapes. And it gives the giraffe a type of pattern. So you can kind of see how I'm pressing hard here. Not in every spot, just in some of the spots. Getting it pressed in. I use that technique to get it pressed in. All right, so now we got the giraffe. Now I'm gonna take my next color, because I like to do multiple colors here. I'm gonna do, this is a very light pink. And again, I move my hand over to the side. Do the same thing over here. Just very lightly pressing. I'm just going to continue to color like that. Next, take my red. Oh, that was the green. Take my red. And because I'm going to have a red scarf, I want to do the direction this way. Now, when you're using a color pencil, you absolutely can see the direction that you're coloring in. So if I suddenly were to change or do some sort of cross hatching, that would change the picture. What I'm doing here is just light pressure. Now I am going to slightly change the direction so you can see what happens. And if you color too fast, you won't get all the spaces in between. I don't want to color too fast. Just kind of want to give it a direction. Also, if you go too fast, you go over your edges. So I try to slow down a little bit. Now, if I'm coloring lightly with a color pencil, a good eraser will take some of it away so it doesn't look as weird. All right, so I have my first layer. Now I move my fingers again to get a highly saturated color. Kind of, oops, I forgot to draw my line here. I'm gonna add that back in. What's nice about Sharpies and colored pencils is if you have a colored pencil, you can put a Sharpie right on top of it, not a problem. Or put colored pencil on top of Sharpie. It does give it a slightly different distinctive look if you do that. Okay, so now I need my hat, which I'm going to choose to be green. Now, it is okay to rotate your paper. And so I'm going to do that. I just kind of color it really fast. When I work on a piece of art, it does take me a couple hours because I want to get all those small details, and I don't normally work this fast. I just want to get this done so I can show you what it kind of looks like. So I did that same light technique. Now I'm going to press a little bit harder, but I'm going to press harder all on the same sides here. So I'm going like this, getting this part colored in. Press a little bit harder just on the one side. And what this is doing is it's going to make a two-dimensional turn into a three-dimensional form. So a form is a shape that is in this 3D. And you do that by putting value on it. And suddenly, it looks three-dimensional. All right, so now I got my hat. Next, my trees. My trees are pretty two-dimensional. I'm just getting them shaded in. Now my big, beautiful tree over here. Shaded in. What I like to do with my trees is after I have my base, so I have my whole base, what I do then is I can take and I can go with another color. So I'm going to take a light green. It kind of adds a little bit of extra detail in here. It's a little bit of cross hatching, and it gives it a nice dimension to it. So your eye will blend the colors together, which is really, really nice. So I'm just going like this and adding the colors. And I have that next. I'm going to add a little bit like this. Kind of on the same side as up here. Do the same thing on this side here. Adding that red there really helps, just kind of accentuate it. Just kind of coloring it in. Now, I did go over the edges, so I to take my eraser. It's a good tool to have. I can soften each of these areas too with my colored pencil. Like that, and then I can add a little bit of red here to the top of his nose. Kind of a slight pink here. Sometimes those little extra details give you kind of that little extra push. And I can do those little, I'm just doing small little short lines in my tree. Not everywhere. I don't have to do it everywhere. It's not realistic. It's just fun. But it just kind of gives that cute look to it. And it also gives that, just that little extra edge. So now I do that. Now I just need my brown trees. I'm kind of going back and forth here. Just kind of seeing where every spot needs it. So I do that. Get this side. And then the last part is the snow. I love how in the winter, in the shadows, snow is blue. So just kind of give a nice blue color to my snow. It seems kind of weird that snow would be blue. It's white, but it's also blue in the shadows. However, I'm kind of liking how I'm doing this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around each of my areas. And this is for artistic purposes. Kind of just give that little extra line. It doesn't have to be exact. Just giving it a little bit of a feel to it. Like this. Go like this. And now I take another, I think this is bluish or grayish. And this one is gray. I'm just going to very, very lightly in the background. Just and very gently, not putting a lot of pressure at all. Just kind of fill in that white space. And I'm leaving a lot of molecule space in between. I'm not necessarily touching every part of the paper. I am going back and forth, kind of give that look. Now, I could do swirls like Vincent van Gogh, or just kind of have it as one of those gray days with just a few snowflakes. That's what we had yesterday with the snow. It's just a gray day with some snow. It was very nice. Oh, there goes a pencil. I did not use all the colors. I didn't use any yellow. I could make my giraffe yellow, but I chose more of a brown for this time. Just filling it all in there. All right. Just getting it all filled in. Just nice. I can go the other way a little bit. Kind of makes it look like it's a little bit of wind. And if there's any little extra details that I want to put in, I can. Just on the edges. And it's usually where I just go in and that little bit more saturation level. And I'm just kind of adding those little details that really just accentuate your art and taking time to do it. That's the fun part. It's just very relaxing just to get all of your designs in. And then I might take my blue again. So I find that as I'm doing my art, just going back and adding those small details really, really helps. It kind of gives it that unique look. Now, because I have a hat, I can kind of create a slight shadow to it. And then maybe just a little bit here. Just a little one, not very big. Then I'm kind of, let's see, is there anything else I could do for my guy? I don't know, he's looking pretty spiffy. All right, well, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you later.